Good morning. Welcome to Humanity Meets Business, Business Therapy with Christine Salvo. Today I have a guest, Janai Carlson. She's a professional organizer, realtor for the state of Nevada, and certified move manager. What that really means is she is the renesting business. Janai is the owner of the heart of your home and has years of knowledge of experience in helping people right-size their possessions while maximizing the flow and efficiency of their home. She uses a proven method for accomplishing larger tasks like getting ready to move or tackling the garage. She also has many tried and true tips and techniques she uses to help remove chaos and clutter from your home. Her goal is to teach others how to manage their home environment and create spaces with positive energy, peace, and tranquility. Oh, I love it. I'm so excited about this. I've been waiting for this episode for a long time, honestly, because I just feel like this is something that pretty much touches every single one of us. I would almost guess that just about every person I know has too much stuff, including myself. And I can't wait for your insights. So Janai, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of who you are and how you got into this?
Well, certainly. Back in 2008, I was a realtor. And as most of us know, there was a Great Depression, the market crashed, and I had to go find other types of work. And I got interested in professional organizing because I became a certified senior move manager. Now, what that means is I helped primarily seniors with the process of right sizing and moving into more manageable spaces, however that looked. So I would go into their homes and work with them for several weeks and help them pack their boxes and get ready for the big move day. And that included sorting through all of their items, figuring out what to keep, what was going to go with them, and packing the rest or getting rid of the rest. And I found that very fascinating that it all has a story and there's reasons why people have excess clutter. So I did a little deeper dive into that and found out some fascinating things.
So it sounds like it was almost something you fell into, kind of like, okay, there's a need, I can provide that, but it also created a lot of curiosity within you.
Absolutely, yes.
So maybe you can start talking about what you found out, because I find this very fascinating.
Well, there's many reasons why we have too much stuff, clutter, whatever you want to call it. One of them is that we might have a real strong emotional attachment to our things. Sometimes we come from a background where we waste not, want not. Maybe some people grew up in a very poverty filled environment or after the war or during the war. And so people would hang on to everything because they just might need it someday. Another reason would be that, shopping addictions, that's a big one. I mean, I tell people don't ever whine and prime. You'll end up with a whole bunch of boxes on your porch the next day.
I've actually never heard it said that way, wine and prime.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's
Things
great.
are cheap and inexpensive and replaceable, disposable. So we just, get a happy feeling out of replacing those items and shopping. And sometimes we're feeling a void. But really, another reason that we have too much stuff or clutter around is trauma. There's been a lot of research around clutter and trauma and that vicious cycle that happens when we get too much stuff. Because really, the cycle is that it produces more stress and then that produces more cortisol. And then we get all flustered and can't get to it, and it causes guilt and shame, which are all pieces that add to the trauma, and then it starts all over again. So trauma is definitely one of the reasons that people tend to collect too much stuff.
Do you have any history with like hoarding?
Me, myself personally?
No, just in your business. Have you
Oh,
ever worked with any hoarders?
yes, that is definitely a mental illness that is addressed in a different way than normal clutter. Clutter is what we're going to talk about today, but hoarding is extreme, and I think that requires a psychological degree. I don't know. But hoarding is just different than normal clutter. And today we want to focus on how we can get out of our clutter and create Zen spaces for ourselves.
Perfect. So just kind of reiterating for our listeners, if you know someone that's hoarding, hire a professional to work with the psychological issues, and then possibly also hire someone to help with the actual unpacking of the stuff. But it's a deeper issue. So what we're talking about today is the packed garage, the packed closet, the extra appliances that haven't worked for a while, just that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, just basically something on every surface, a need to fill the gaps somehow, whether consciously or subconsciously. Because clutter actually affects our anxiety levels, our ability to sleep and focus. It makes us less productive. It gives us avoidance strategies and often leads to a physical environment that reduces our cognition and our emotions and even our focus. It's whether it's subconscious or conscious, clutter messes with our minds, even if we don't even know it.
Okay. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit. So if someone's listening and they're like, oh, I've got clutter. Okay, fine. What happens next? Like realizing that, your space affects your mental health. And I think probably someone that made this kind of clutter stuff really popular was Marie Kondo, right? Everyone knows about her. And I think she even had a TV show, and kind of like holding an object, deciding if you love it, if you don't, kind of releasing it, and kind of having a process for this. So I know you have your own process. Maybe you can start kind of talking about that a little bit.
I do have a process. Well, she's been very helpful to a lot of people. I think it's extreme to just decide if it brings you joy or not. And if it doesn't, away with it. I think that's a little bit harsh. So we're going to go through a little bit of a better process so that
Yay!
Yeah. So the end result is a place where you can recharge your batteries. Your home should be the antidote of your stress, not the cause of it. So that would be the goal. So we will start with a 4 or 5 processes here that I use, and they all start with P. I think it's easier to remember. And so if you want to write these down, it's helpful. So the first goal that I would suggest that you try is to prioritize. Now, how do you prioritize what you need to do first? Well, I would say the thing that's causing you the most stress or grief, annoyance, or the thing that's bugging you the most or causing you the most pain. See, we as human beings, we either make our decisions based upon whether they produce pleasure or prevent pain. And so when you prioritize, that's something to look at. Am I moving towards something or away from something? So with prioritizing also would include the amount of time and energy that you can devote to something. One of the things I recommend is to start small and set a timer. 15 minutes in increments is enough to help give you a little bit of motivation and to propelling you forward to go, wow, hey, that wasn't so bad. Maybe I could go another 15 minutes, because sometimes it's just the first step of actually producing and getting something done that motivates you to go further. So I would say prioritize according to what is giving you the biggest stress. And it could be something little and it could be something big. So if it's something little like a junk drawer or maybe the spice rack or something like that, is certainly something that you can do in bite-sized chunks. So don't look at it as I have to tackle this whole thing right now. Start small. So that would be the first step, would be to prioritize. The second one would be to plan. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, in order to set a goal, you have to set a date, because someday becomes some way. When you keep saying, well, someday, that until you set the date, it's just probably not going to happen. Someday is not a day of the week. So you have to set a date and set a goal by setting a date. And then consider what needs to happen for you to have that focused effort. Do you need to get someone to watch the kids? Do you need to block out a certain amount of time and create that space for that action plan? And that would be something you would need to do, is to write out that action plan and then get yourself set up. There's some tools that go along with this, like boxes and totes, tape, a table so you can pull things out and lay them out and sort things before you put them back, labels. And I always like to wear an apron, because as I'm going, an apron must have pockets, let me tell you, because as I'm going through, it helps keep me focused so that I don't have to put it somewhere else and then just forget about it. I can find the right place that it goes. And that's a little bit later when we do the purge. The third thing that you need to do is to partner. Now I'm talking about, these are big stuffs. They're not with the little things, the desk drawer or the makeup table or whatever. But when you've got a big thing, like let's just say, a closet, I consider that a big thing. I don't know if you have a lot of clothes, but I sure do.
I have a lot of clothes. I really enjoy buying them too. I think I enjoy the buying process even more than wearing them, because I have plenty of clothes that I've literally never worn, and I'm like, nah, I'll probably just wear the old things I have, but I really enjoy buying clothes.
Yes, that's filling a void. Definitely, that is part of the trauma somewhere in there somewhere. But when you partner, you want to either partner with a family or a friend or a professional or a significant other if you work well with them. Because if you make plans and you've asked your friend to come over and help you clean out your closet, well, now you have accountability, right? It's like, okay, your friend's coming over at a certain time, so it's a little bit harder to get out of it. So having a friend or a family or professional helps you stay accountable, and it gives you more focus. And it also gives you a perspective and an objective eye. I remember when my sister was helping me when I was doing a move, and of course, sisters can be a little bit more flippant than others, because she knows me better than anyone else. Really, I would put something up next to me and she'd just give me the look, like, are you kidding me? I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Because otherwise I might want to hang on to it. And then also when you're working with a partner on a big project, they can be encouraging. You can have some wine and some laughter, and time goes by faster. And the big bonus is that you can stuff their car full of the things that you didn't want anymore, and they can haul them away so you never get to see them. So that's kind of helpful. All right, we prioritized, we're planning, my partner's here. What the heck? Now what do? We purge.
Oh boy.
We purge. Okay. So here's a simple method. I use the 4-box method. And one is for putting away, one is for giving away, one is for throwing away, and one's for stowing away.
So go nice and slow through each, because I think this is the one that can be a little tricky.
All right. Well, put away is, you're going to combine what you're putting away with other like items altogether. Chances are you've got like items of things all around the house in different places, different drawers, different closets, different stashaways. So you want to put like with like and where they're going to be put away. There's the giveaway. That's pretty simple. You're going to either donate it to your charity of your choice. I highly recommend a nonprofit in your local community. So that way it's helpful to your community that you live in rather than one of the big franchise type places. And often those places do have a truck that'll come and get your stuff. Too. So find one that'll come and get your furniture or some extra bags of clothes and things like that. That's very helpful. Throw away things that have gone through their useful life, that have no value to you anymore, because we change, but our things do not.
Oh, that's a beautiful insight. And I kind of want to tap on that a little bit, because sometimes I feel like getting rid of things, as you said before, there's an emotional attachment, right? And as we change and our things do not, we rarely purge as we are changing. So it can kind of be nostalgic and maybe like a memory of what we used to do, or certain people, places, and things, or a different time in our life. So I feel like that one can be a little bit tricky. Do you find that too?
Yeah, it's hard. And that's another reason that the partner or the friend or the professional or someone who can be objective and help you process the reasonings why you want to keep them or throw them away. And another thing that can be done, let's say if you had a tea collection, a teacup collection rather, maybe it was your grandmother's and it was then your mother's and now it's yours and you're thinking about, man, I can't give these things away and I certainly, don't want to get rid of them, but I don't have the space to store them anymore. And if I can't give them the prominent place that they need to be so that I can enjoy them, what the heck am I hanging on to them for? So what you could do is take pictures of several of the teacups and make a beautiful collage, frame it and hang it on your wall. That way you'll have memories of the items and then you could decide if you want to continue to store them or give them away or whatever you'd like to do. So there's different methods that you can use to make mementos of your things and give them a place of honor in your life if that's something that you're ready for. Put away, give away, throw away, or stow away. Stow away is the things that you use seasonally. A lot of those items are already in your garage. So there is a great way to make it much easier for you to find those things. That it is, again, like with clear labeling systems. And that's how you can just decide what you want to do. But by having those 4 boxes is very helpful. Now, when you're ready to clean, let's get back to the closet. I remember when I opened one side of my closet that I very rarely open. I usually, it said that women actually only wear about 25% of their clothes. It's true. I know, 25%. We have our go-tos. So there's another side of the closet we rarely open, right? So I opened that side of the closet, immediately like pillows and blankets and all kinds of things fell down on my head. And I was like, what is going on here? And I realized that in order for me to get organized, I had to completely start over. I had to empty the space of everything because I wanted to create a new way of putting my things away, something that was much more in line with my values. For instance, my clothes get put away seasonally. I've got my colored dark ones over here and I've got my pink ones over here. And so that I used to not be like that. They used just to be random. Some people like to put mix and match together already. So they just grab an outfit and go. So they can figure out how they want to do that. But what I have to do is start from scratch. So that means everything has to come out. And that's where you want to create a workstation. In my case, my workstation that day was my bed. I put a big sheet down over the top of my comforter and I took everything out so that I had a clean work space to start over with.
Okay.
And then I decided on the system that I was going to use. Now, a system is an acronym and it stands for Save Yourself Stress, Time, Energy, and Money. Don't you love that?
I do. Yeah.
Yes.
Save your time, stress, energy, and money. Yep. Love
Yes.
it.
Because when you don't have a system, everything's haphazard. You're going to go looking for it. That causes time and frustration, right? More stress. Okay. The second thing is you're spending that, you're creating negative energy over your frustration and probably a little bit of guilt and shame. Like, why can't I find this? It was just here a little, last week. And then of course, if you can't find something and you really need it, what are you going to do? You're going to go buy another one. That's right. You're going to order another one off of Amazon and have it show up tomorrow. So the system saves yourself stress, time, energy, and money. And a system is crucial for organizing. And a system is what you want it to be. There are so many ways that you can develop a system, but the important thing is that the system works for you personally, because you're probably not going to hang with it for very long if it's a system that it doesn't really work for you. And you can go find systems and get ideas, but you really need to hone in on how is this system that I'm creating going to save me time, energy, and money and frustration. The system is unique to you and your situation. So they could be anything from a new closet system to different containers and baskets, maybe adjusting the shelving up higher or lower so that you can store the things that you need to. System could be a way that you fold your towels and place them in there so that they're easier. So there's all kinds of systems and containers or Ross or any of those stores, and there's stashes and just loads of baskets and ways that you can contain your stuff, you know. So purging, it takes the method of the stowaway, put away, give away, throw away, stow away, start, clean everything out and start over, develop your system, use what's ever best for you and how you can make your life easier. How can I simplify and make my life easier? Those questions should be going through your head all the time. And the fifth objective is, once you've prioritized and planned, you've found that partner and you've created that space and you've purged, your home is cleaned and it's decluttered. How do you keep it that way? Right. That is the huge part, because we can all do a big push, but what we need to do is develop habits, good habits around being proactive.
Yeah, I will say that's probably my number one. I will have kind of like these, and I'm sure you hear this all the time. I'll get these spurts of energy and I'll be like, okay, today I'm going to accomplish the garage or whatever the case is, my closet, you know, and then I'll cut out the time and I'll do it to completion. But it's the maintenance that tends to get me.
It's true. It's true. But you know what? The most valuable possession that you have is your time. Agreed. So you want to, if you develop healthy habits around home health, and I realize it does take consistency and a commitment, but what other things in your life that are important do you have healthy habits around? Do you go to the gym?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a self-care routine?
Many.
Yes. Do you have health? Do you eat healthy and buy certain things that contribute to your health?
Yes.
You're conscious of all of these good habits. Well, home health is just as important, because I've said it before, is that your home should be your place of peace and tranquility. It should be the antidote of your stress, not the cause of it. So you need to develop good home health habits. Now, what does that mean? A routine, incorporate all family members, and again, create those systems that simplify. You could have something like a drop station, a charging station as soon as you get home, and that's where everybody puts their stuff rather than all over the place. It's just in one condensed spot, so that way they know where to find it or where to charge it. I have a little system that I use. It's called Ohio. It's an acronym. I'm all about acronyms. Ohio, it stands for Only Handle It Once.
Oh, yes, that's very good.
Don't just put it down, put it away. There's a place for that. If you took the time to create the system, then you don't continue to implement the same system, your home will just go back to being unhealthy and a place for, consciously you're there, but the subconscious is currently aware of all of the clutter or the things that you have put aside and thought, I'll get to it later. Because another clutter is really just perpetual procrastination.
Yep.
I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later. It can wait. It can wait. There's too many other things that are more important.
So true.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to talk about in my piece, we've got prioritize, plan, partner, purge, be proactive. Let's talk a little bit about how you create that Zen space. Many of us today are trying to maximize the usage out of our home, such as we're trying to create maybe office space now with us, many of us working from home, maybe a homeschooling area. We want to actually maybe take more outdoor advantage of outdoor living space, right? So I use some of the feng shui principles, and feng shui is really just the art of object placement. And there's, oh my gosh, there's masters at feng shui, and there's so much to feng shui. But what it really does is it maximizes your energy flow or your chi. So if object placement can increase flow and your chi, it can also do the opposite. If you've got too much furniture, if you've got something on every surface, if you've got too many pictures on the wall, they become cluttered. Chi works in reverse, and it stagnates the energy flow. And really, clutter can actually stagnate your energy and overload your senses. You know? So another way that you can bring more feng shui and energy flow into your home is by adding more light to a room. A room needs to be about 3 sources of light in order for there to be adequate balance in there. And speaking of balance, you want to consider the weight of your furniture or your larger objects. When you have a large, let's say a fireplace on one side of the room, you need a large object on the other side for balance, symmetry, and for pattern. When you're placing your objects around, your eye needs to be able to flow around the room, and your eyes need a place to rest. If there's too many objects, the eye is too overstimulating, and that stagnates the energy.
So I mean, you shared such a wealth of information today. I mean, I can't believe how quickly the time went by. But if people want to know more, or if they want to find you, Janai, how can they find you on the internet or social media?
So I have a email at Realtor Janai, and that's JANAI @gmail.com. And my website is theheartofyourhome.org. And I would be happy to answer any of your questions.
Wow, that's been amazing. I mean, I think that after listening to this, if you're not stimulated or motivated or have some kind of clue, you weren't listening to the whole thing. There was so much there. So last but not least, as we're ending today, is there any kind of challenge you'd like to present to our listeners today?
Yes, I would. If you're struggling with too much clutter, I would like you to start small. Do something, anything. Set that time for the junk drawer or your makeup counter or something like that, and just get started. When you do something, it releases positive stress hormones, euphoric hormones. It's like, wow, I did that. Oh, what else can I tackle? So I want to say, don't be afraid to just start 15 minutes at a time. And when you're ready to move on and do some of the bigger projects, implement the 5 Ps that I suggested here tonight.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a guest and sharing all that wonderful information. And hopefully that's beneficial to our listeners today. This has been Humanity Meets Business, Business Therapy with Christine Salvo, licensed marriage and family therapist, advanced certified mediator, and master practitioner of NLP and hypnosis. Thank you so much for listening. Have an awesome day and have fun decluttering.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Good morning. Welcome to Humanity Meets Business, Business Therapy with Christine.